be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll note the presence of all 16 members of the jury, and I'll ask my usual questions. Has anyone learned anything about this case outside of the courtroom since we adjourned yesterday from the proceedings? I am seeing, I think 16 shakes of the head no. Did anybody read any accounts of this or discuss this case with anybody else since leaving the courtroom yesterday? Again, seeing shakes of the head no from all 16 members of the jury. It is now time for closing arguments. We'll start with the state. Ms. George.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. In October of 2021, Mr. Ferlazzo and his wife, Emily, made a plan to come to Vermont for a weekend for their one-year anniversary. You heard from Emily's mother that Emily was excited. She was looking forward to meeting her sister-in-law, Nicole. She was in a good mood, and she was looking forward to the trip. They drove up here in their van with their dog from New Hampshire on the evening of Friday, October 15th of 2021. They arrived in Vermont at the Bear Run condos at 7:20 p.m. They parked at a condo complex on Bear Run in Bolton. They met with Nicole for about 15 minutes out in the parking lot inside the van with a plan for Mr. Ferlazzo and Emily to meet them inside the Airbnb to catch up, watch Netflix, and hang out. But they never did. And we know that Emily sent her last Facebook message to her family at 8:13 p.m. We know that Mr. Ferlazzo sent a text message to his sister Nicole inside the Airbnb at 9:39 p.m. Hey, we're gonna take the night to rest, smiley face. You still drink coffee? We'll see you tomorrow morning. Shortly after, Emily's last location data from her Facebook is logged as 10:14 p.m. Instead of going inside and spending time with his sister, Mr. Ferlazzo and Emily argued. They argued because Mr. Ferlazzo had brought Emily on their one-year anniversary to the very same condo complex that his ex-wife lived. They argued because Mr. Ferlazzo seemed to believe that he didn't have any obligations to be monogamous with his wife, be faithful to her, and she told him she was done. She told him she did not want to be with him, that she could not do it anymore, and that she wanted to leave. And 1 minute after midnight, Mr. Ferlazzo turns off his phone. Done arguing, Emily laid down in bed while Mr. Ferlazzo stayed up and stewed. He became enraged at Emily while she lay in bed scrolling on her phone with her head on her pillow. Mr. Ferlazzo sat on the couch, thinking, planning, for what he told police was 5 to 10 minutes. For at least 5 minutes, Mr. Ferlazzo sits on the couch and stews. By this time, Mr. Ferlazzo has a plan. He's made a decision. He has decided that he needs to stop her, that she is not leaving him.
I don't even know. I just know that I sat down and was. Something inside my head, just I remember feeling really warm, and I remember feeling blurry, and I don't know. Something inside me said enough is enough.
Something inside of him said, enough is enough. But instead of walking away from Emily, going into his sister's Airbnb, out of the van, instead he executes his plan. He got up from the couch, he went to the closet, he grabbed this Glock 19 with this silencer. He walked over to the bed. Emily's head was resting on this pillow. He picked up this throw pillow from the couch. He jumped onto the bed. He put this throw pillow over her face, and he shot her once and twice, directly into the left side of her head, killing her. Both of those bullets exited her skull on the right side of her head and came to rest inside the very pillow that her head was laying on.
When you jumped on her, did she say anything to you?
Something like, are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
And then, what was her reaction to you?
It was just like that. Okay. I just jumped on her. She said, are you kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding me. Something like that.
Did she try to fight you or anything like that? And how long did you have to wait? Was it between when you jumped on her and when you fired the first shot? And how about the second shot? So I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything. I'm just trying to understand. So essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, you jumped on her and bang bang like that. Is that how it happened?
And I think you shook your head no, but when Seth asked you if she tried to put up a fight, did you say yes or no? There was no fight? Okay.
The evidence presented in this trial shows that Emily posed no threat to Mr. Ferlazzo. And in fact, his story that she had a gun was directly contradicted by the fact that both of the pistols were his. Emily did not have a gun. His story that he remembers Emily's body falling after he killed her is directly contradicted by the physical and forensic evidence. Dr. Shapiro told you that her head was resting on something when she was killed. And immediately after killing her, rather than calling 911, any police agency, his ex-wife, or his sister, who was just yards away from him, Mr. Ferlazzo instead shuts off Emily's phone because, in his words, quote, he wasn't going to use it and she wasn't going to use it. After he shut off her phone, Mr. Ferlazzo puts a market basket shopping bag over Emily's head, tied a garbage bag around her neck, used his 6-foot, 200-pound body to carry her 5'1", 130-pound body into the shower. He bagged up this bloody pillow, bagged up this red throw pillow. He bagged up this bloody pillowcase, this bloody sheet. He then put her shoes, her glasses, her wallet, and her phone in a plastic grocery bag, but was careful to keep her ID. He put new sheets, a new blanket, and new pillows on the bed, and he turns his phone back on at 1:35 a.m. Then he turns it off at 2:10 and back on at 3:39 a.m. Then he gets back in the very bed he just killed his wife in. And just a few hours later at 7:48 a.m., while his wife's body is in his shower, he texts his sister, "I can't sleep. Any interest in going for breakfast?" And even makes a recommendation on where to go. "Maxie's has really good breakfast, exclamation point. I just French pressed some coffee. Have you had coffee yet?" And off they go to Maxie's, where Mr. Ferlazzo has eggs and a mimosa. Then he drives his van from Bolton to St. Albans, parks the van on the property of his best friend. And rather than telling them that Emily's in the van, that he killed her, that he had to kill her, he tells them she took off. And then he sets up shop and starts to give his sister a tattoo. But not before sending Emily's phone a text message. "Whatever," exclamation point and angry face. "I'm gonna spend time with Nikki while I can," exclamation point. "Call me." And 3 hours later, he finishes his sister's tattoo. And an hour after that, he goes out to eat again, this time at Twig's, a gastropub in St. Albans. He eats dinner, he has drinks, and he gets a ride back to the Lang residence, and he again sleeps in the van with Emily's body still in the shower. And the next day, he goes out to Burlington with his sister, he gets coffee, and again, he goes out to eat. And again, he says nothing to Nicole about what he did to Emily. And after gallivanting around downtown, he heads back to St. Albans, and on his way, he stops at Hannaford to buy bleach. Because despite him continuing with his life as if nothing has happened, he does have a mess to clean up. That night, he hangs out with friends around a campfire. 2 of his best friends and an off-duty police officer. He engages in small talk. Doesn't mention Emily once. Doesn't even mention that he has a wife, as if she just doesn't exist. You heard testimony that the campfire wraps up around midnight when Mr. Ferlazzo gets back into the van, and while Emily's body lays feet away from him, he sends her phone another text message. The same phone that he turned off after killing her because she wasn't going to need it, and the same phone he threw away somewhere between Bolton and St. Albans. "This is far enough!" Exclamation point, exclamation point. "Get your ass home!" Exclamation point. "I gotta go back to New Hampshire. Are you coming back?" And amongst all of these activities, he decides that he needs to make her body easier to carry, easier to move, and easier to discard. Mr. Ferlazzo uses this serrated saw and dismembers her arms, her legs, her feet, and her head. He dismembers them from her torso. The same torso, absolutely riddled with stab wounds, including one striking her heart. 3 different knives had her DNA on them. At least 3 different knives were used to stab her heart, 1 time, her abdomen 8 times, and her back 9 times. Then he puts each piece of her body in garbage bags. And on Monday morning, before leaving for New Hampshire to get his Jeep, which he told you he needed in order to bury Emily's body in the woods, he just can't help himself. Knowing full well exactly where she is and what he has done to her, he texts her phone one last time. "You're an asshole. I don't deserve this shit. You're an asshole. I don't deserve this shit." Ms. Adams told you in the state's opening statement that this case and this crime is about ego, Mr. Ferlazzo's ego, and Mr. Ferlazzo's nearly 42-year-old ego being unable to accept his 22-year-old wife disrespecting him. That ego believed it was his right to cheat on Emily, to have relationships with other women, whether she liked it or not. That same ego believed it was his right to follow Emily one day when she wore her hair a different way and he didn't think she was being truthful to him. That ego was so inflated that even after shooting his wife in the head 2 times, stabbing and dismembering her body, bagging her up, and discarding her like trash, he didn't tell his sister because he didn't want to make a bad impression with her boyfriend. So inflated that he didn't tell his sister because he'd promised not to, quote, dump his drama on her. He considered killing his wife drama. An ego so inflated that after killing her, taking her life because he didn't like the things she was saying to him, because she didn't want to be with him anymore, he calls her an asshole. He tells her that he doesn't deserve this. The state submits that it is Emily, and only Emily, that did not deserve this. All of the credible evidence presented by the state during this trial, the witness statements, the physical evidence, the forensic evidence, was checked and verified. The details of her death, the details of the weekend of the dismemberment, the trip back to New Hampshire was all corroborated, checked, verified, proven beyond a reasonable doubt. We are confident that you will find that Mr. Ferlazzo killed Emily and that that killing was unlawful. There was no legal justification for it. It was willful. It was intentional, it was deliberate, and it was premeditated. And the state requests that you find him guilty of first-degree murder.
Ms. Jantz.
Thank you, Judge. I do plan to move this puppy because this is in my way.
Mr. Ferlazzo claims that he doesn't remember what he told police, that he doesn't remember being in the interview with police, and that he doesn't remember much of the night he killed her, and that his memories were not full at the time and are still fragmented. Luckily for Mr. Ferlazzo and for all of us, Every single word that Mr. Ferlazzo said to the police about what happened to Emily was recorded. The reason that Trooper Cody turned on his body camera when he called Mr. Ferlazzo. The reason that Detective Voris did the interview in a room equipped with video and audio. The reason that Detective Voris made sure to have an extra recorder on his body when he went into different places, went to the breaks, went to the holding cell, just in case. The reason was all to make sure that everything Mr. Ferlazzo said about what happened to Emily was recorded, and that we would all be able to refresh his memory. You all heard every word that he said to the police, just days after he killed Emily. We played you every video, every recording. You have the transcripts. There are no secrets here about what was said or done. There are no mysteries. And immediately after signing the Miranda warning with Detective Voris, Joseph was ready to talk.
All right. So, Joe, is it fair to say that you have an idea of what we want to talk about?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm here to talk to you. Like, you don't have to beat around the bush.
Okay.
I'm sure you already talked to Spencer. I fucked up. Like I said, like, I had a fucking lapse. And did something that I can't undo. So here we are.
And less than 2 minutes after that,
So I came to Vermont. I was living in New Hampshire for like the last 2 months with my wife and her family. And I came to Vermont. We were supposed to have like a weekend away, like vacation, do some camping, like have some fun. And like as soon as I like put the vehicle in park, like my wife went completely berserk, like completely psychotic. And I shot her. That's the result of that. And now here we are. So,
All right. Can you, where did that happen?
Bolton, Vermont.
Okay. All right. So, I guess my next question is, when did that happen? Saturday. Do you know about what time? Saturday evening? All right.
No way. No. Saturday morning. I think I was thinking. It was like, yeah, it was Saturday morning.
the state believes that the interview, the recordings, and the transcripts of the same all show that Mr. Ferlazzo was ready, he was willing, and he was able to give a coherent, a voluntary statement. You saw for yourself how he interacted with police throughout this interview, and you saw for yourself how he presented on the stand. You heard him outline in the interview with police in great detail what led up to shooting Emily twice in the head, and never, not once, did he say that Emily was a threat to him, that she had a gun, that he thought she was going to kill him. In fact, what you heard him say repeatedly when asked multiple times was that she had stopped fighting.
Can you describe Emily when you shot her? Like, what was she doing?
She had stopped fighting, and she had gone and laid down. And I went and jumped on top of her. And I shot her.
How many times?
She had stopped fighting, she had gone and laid down. I went and jumped on her, and I shot her in the head. The physical and forensic evidence shows that Mr. Ferlazzo did not act in self-defense. Just days later, he had no injuries, no bumps, no lumps, no bruises, no scratches, no burn marks from this alleged burning candle that was wrestled over during this interaction that he testified to yesterday. The physical and forensic evidence shows that this was willful, that he intended to do it. His actions were deliberate. They were not provoked under any circumstances, and they were premeditated. He planned to kill her during that 5 minutes, and he executed that plan. Mr. Ferlazzo's statement to police is detailed, it's thoughtful, it's thorough. At times you see him correct himself if he gets a detail wrong. He goes out of his way to correct it with police. He's given opportunities to warm up, to sleep, to eat, to drink, to smoke. He was given numerous breaks. He had time to contemplate and correct inaccuracies, fill in the details when police asked for them.
And while this was, while she was in bed, where were you when it was
Oh, he's sitting right here on this little couch. Right couch on that.
Sure. And I think we had asked where the Glock was currently, but where did you get it from?
It was in the closet.
Where's the closet?
This is the closet.
Okay.
I was in the couch.
Okay.
And I just got up and grabbed it and shot her.
At no point during his statement does he ever say anything about Emily being a threat to him. At numerous points, you heard him talk about the feeling that he had before he did it, that he felt warm, and he specifically described that feeling as rage, how he wanted to stop her, and how he made a decision to do that.
I remember sitting there.
On the couch.
Just trying to it was raining. I remember I was just watching the rain. It was lightning. And I was on vacation and I was just trying to enjoy myself and stay up with the rain. And I kept trying to relax and she just kept trying to unfurl my piece. And then it was just I just felt this weight come over me. So yeah, it was
What did that weight feel like? You talked about it before, like you felt like a warm sensation in your body.
I think it was loss of focus, rage, heat.
Were you feeling angry, or were you feeling sad, or how were you feeling?
Felt
Pushed and fed up. In defense counsel's arguments, they said that it will be up to you to determine whether or not Mr. Ferlazzo on the stand yesterday was telling the truth or if he was lying to get away with it. Making up a story now to get away with it. That will be up for you to decide. But the state would just highlight that Mr. Ferlazzo testified to a history of abuse, being assaulted by Emily numerous times, having black eyes, bumps, bruises. But not a single witness got on the stand during this trial and corroborated any of that. No friends that they lived with or hung out with saw any of this alleged abuse. Nobody saw these bruises. The only witness that got on the stand and testified to seeing bruises was Adrienne Bass, Emily's mother, who testified that Emily had bruises on her, who said that Joseph was taunting Emily while they were driving once, so much so, and poking at her so much so that Adrienne feared for their safety. Adrienne told you that at that New Year's Eve event, Emily called her on the phone and she had locked herself in a bathroom, and Adrienne could hear Mr. Ferlazzo yelling at her on the other side. That's the evidence that you heard. Further, again, Mr. Ferlazzo testified that Emily had a gun, a detail never mentioned until this trial. The detail that Mr. Ferlazzo now says he left out of his interview with police, the reason, the why he killed Emily, arguably the most important detail for a self-defense claim, the most important detail that most people would have led with, is now the detail that he wants you to believe over everything else. He wants you to believe that detail so much that you acquit him of this crime. But not so important that he didn't tell his sister, he didn't tell his best friend, he didn't tell the police. Specifically, he didn't tell Trooper Cody, he didn't tell Detective Voris, he didn't tell Detective Richardson, he didn't tell Detective Truex, he didn't tell Detective Nolan. A detail so important that he only knows this detail exists because it came to him in flashbacks. This is not a flashback. This is not a merry-go-round. This is reality. And in reality, there is not a single piece of evidence to corroborate this one detail. The truth in this case is not complicated. The truth is simple. I fucked up. I made a mess. I cleaned it up. We believe that the evidence shows beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Ferlazzo killed Emily and that he did so willfully, that he did so intentionally, that he did not do so in self-defense, that it was deliberate and it was premeditated. And we ask that you find him guilty of first-degree murder.
Judge, may we approach, please?
Folks need a break, or are we ready to hand out?
No, because I had sent the court something,
Why don't we have one last detail to deal with, then we'll bring it in quickly and go into the closing jury instructions, and then you'll get the case. Okay, but we'll take a quick break.
All right.
The pages have changed.
I see that. So, and it would be a lot easier if I had the hard copy, or if I could look at a hard copy.
We have 21 of them, are they?
You can sit down.
Oh, please, everyone sit down.
Just hold them there.
Whatever you want.
Okay, now I know where are you ready?
What page?
12, first paragraph.
Well, huh.
So, as it now reads, to find Mr. Ferlazzo guilty of first-degree murder, you must find beyond a reasonable doubt the killing was not done under great provocation or sudden passion that would cause a reasonable person to lose self-control and act without thinking, as further defined in the remainder of the charge.
Right, we already dealt with that, I thought.
Okay, no, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. I still am asking, I did object.
Yeah, you've got,
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to repeat it.
No.
You objected that you wanted the full
Well,
thing that's repeated under second degree, repeated under first, I think is what you said.
so I do object for the reasons stated, and I also object to the language of reasonable doubt.
Okay, yeah. Good. Are we ready for the jury? Can't promise to move.
Oh, I thought we were taking a break, because he's not here.
Oh, he's not here. Okay, we're not ready.
Yeah.